Hello, welcome to the lecturer's desk. Get your medical thoughts cleared before you leave. And please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and turn on the notification bell.
Hello guys, welcome back to the lecturer's desk once again. My name is Michael, can call me Mike as we always do. Today I would like to take this opportunity to thank you all for your support by liking my content, subscribing to the channel, and also recommending other friends and the rest. I really appreciate it. Please keep doing this and then support me. And please, if you are new here, kindly subscribe to the channel, like, share, and also recommend to a friend. Today we are going to talk of a very interesting topic, which is called what? The WOLF-PARKINSON-WHITE Syndrome. What is it? The WOLF-PARKINSON-WHITE Syndrome is a type of a pre-exciting syndrome, which is being formed by the formation of a new accessory pathway through which the impulses generated in the atria, specifically in the SA node, get to the ventricles through that pathway without passing through the normal pathway, which is the AV node. Are we clear with it? And because of that, this via or this pathway gets the impulses to the ventricles faster than the impulses that pass through the AV node. And because of that, there's a generation of a new wave, or there's early depolarization of the ventricular myocardium, forming a new wave called the delta wave. So this topic or this syndrome, when you forget everything about it, please don't forget the delta wave. It's very important. You know, as we all do on this channel or on this topic, we talk of how we identify this on the EKG graph. Now, let's get into it and then see how we can identify this WOLF-PARKINSON-WHITE syndrome on the EKG graph. But before that, let's talk of how we can understand it using a diagram. Now, let's assume this is our heart. We have our SA node over here. We have our AV node over here. We have our AV bundles, and then we have our Purkinje fibers. Now, the electrical impulse generated, we all know it is being transmitted throughout the atria, so that the atria will depolarize first, and then they will all come and converge at the SA node, and then passes through the AV node, and then passes through the AV bundle and get to the ventricles. Are we clear with it? Now, in this condition, in this situation, that is in the WOLF-PARKINSON-WHITE syndrome, what happens is we don't have only AV node over here, but we also have an accessory pathway. It can be somewhere here or it can be here. Are you clear with it? Now, this accessory pathway permit that some of the impulses will pass it through the accessory pathway. It has a certain bundles over there, which is called the accessory pathway has certain bundle, which is called the Kent bundle, or the bundle of Kent, whatever you call it, the bundle of Kent. So through this bundle of Kent, some of the electrical impulses from the SA node get to the ventricles. Are we clear with it? Now, let's look at something over here. When you get to the ventricles, it depolarizes some part of the ventricle, because it's not all of the impulses that will pass through that bundle of Kent, but some that will pass through there will depolarizes some part of the ventricles, causing an early depolarization of the ventricular myocardium. So, why is it that those impulses that passes through the accessory pathway get to the ventricles early or faster than those that passes through the AV node. We all know from our previous videos, in the AV node, what happens is there's what a delay in the transmission of the electrical impulse due to how the fibers of the AV node has been structured in such a way that the atria will contract first, permitting the ventricles to fill itself with blood. Are you clear with it? So this is how it is. So for the accessory pathway, for that one, there is no delay. So those impulses passing through the accessory pathway, it passes there and comes very fast than those that passes through the AV node. And because of that, it causes the early depolarization of the ventricular myocardium, leaving the rest undepolarized. Then the rest of the impulses that will be coming from the AV node will come and depolarize the remaining part of the ventricles that was left. Now let's look at how it is. The first depolarization, which is from the delta wave. This is how the delta wave form. The delta wave will form, and then the rest that will come from the AV node will complete the QRS complex, which represents the entire ventricular depolarization. Are you clear with it? Now, so this is how it is. And please, I said, if you forget everything, don't forget that we have a delta wave in the WOLF-PARKINSON-WHITE syndrome. It is very important. This is one of the key factors that can permit you to identify it on the EKG graph. Are you clear with it? And also not only on the EKG graph, in your exams or any test that you'll be doing. Now, let's look at other points that we can use aside the delta wave. That will permit us to identify this syndrome. One, we have the PR interval, which is short. The PR interval becomes very short. And then we have the delta wave, as we all know, the delta wave. And then lastly, we have a wide QRS complex. So a wide QRS complex. So these are the three main things that you must know when you're identifying the WOLF-PARKINSON-WHITE syndrome. Are we clear with it? Now, let's look at the reason why the interval is very short. Now, we know this is the syndrome. Normally, in the normal sense, the QRS complex must start from here. But because of the generation of the delta wave, the Q is now starting from here. Are you clear with it? And we have our P wave over here. So from the P, this P wave to the beginning of the QRS complex, which gives us the PR interval, becomes very short instead of this. Are we clear with it? So it becomes this instead of this. So this is the reason why the PR interval will be short, or is short in the WOLF-PARKINSON-WHITE syndrome. Now let's look at the reason why there is a very wide QRS complex. The base is wide. Now, for that one too, we have our P wave here. So we having the P wave here, normally the Q original kill must start from here, but the accessory pathway which generated what? The early depolarization of the ventricle will make the kill start from here. Are we clear with it? So here we're supposed to be what? Very close, will then becomes what? Wide. So this is the reason why the QRS complex, its base is wide in the WOLF-PARKINSON-WHITE syndrome. Are we clear with it? Now, so these are the three main factors or three main points you must know when you are identifying what this type of syndrome. Now let's look at the graph over here. On the graph, I have three main graphs over here. The first, second, third, they are all. But the second and the third, we have arrows. So that one what we can show you very well. Now, if you check, we have a wide QRS complex. And this wide QRS complex, it's giving us what? A delta wave. So we have this initial depolarization of the ventricles representing the delta wave. If you come here to, we have a delta wave over here, and we come here to, we have a delta wave 2 over here. Now, let's come to the last one too. We have a delta wave here. This is very wide. This is also wide, but the wideness of it was given by what? The delta wave and the delta wave. The first one too is wide, and as you can check, you have what? A delta wave, a delta wave, and a delta wave. And then aside that, we get what? A short PR intervals in them, and then we have what? The QRS complex being wide. Are we clear with it? So this is basically what can give us the idea of what? Identifying the WOLF-PARKINSON-WHITE syndrome on the EKG graph. Mind you, do not forget the delta wave is found in the WOLF-PARKINSON-WHITE syndrome. That is the early depolarization of the ventricular myocardium, forming the delta wave. And because of that, it increases the time taken by the ventricles to depolarize. That is making the QRS complex wide. And because of that, it also reduces the size of the PR interval, because we won't consider the movement of the impulses that will be passing through that of the AV node, but rather we will consider the movement of the impulses that pass through the accessory pathway, which is through the bundle of Kent. And this is basically what this syndrome talks about. You see, it's very interesting. That's the reason why I said earlier on, when I was starting the video, we will be talking about an interesting topic, and this is it. If you find the class very useful and interesting, please keep supporting us by liking, sharing, and also commenting. Please leave a comment so that we can know that what we are doing pleases you guys and everything. We love you so much, and thank you for staying with me till this time. See you in my next video.